When Bob Iger made his return to Disney as CEO a year and a half ago, I'm sure he thought things were going to go much differently than they have. He thought that he would triumphantly return Disney to their glory days. He'd be the one to turn around the company. Instead, it's been the exact opposite. 2023 was one of the worst years that Disney has seen in its entire 100-year history. And 2024 doesn't exactly look that much better. Full of box office disasters, streaming failures, PR nightmares, Bob Iger has been up to his neck in controversy. And after spending months telling people that, you know what, we've just been making too much stuff. We've been making too much stuff at Marvel. There wasn't enough time for supervision. Deciding to blame some of these failures on, it's just too much for people to keep up with. Now Bob Iger is coming out and saying, you know what? Actually, we've just been making dog shit movies when it comes to Marvel, and really when it comes to our entire theatrical release schedule. They've all, for the most part, been dog shit. And people, there's no audience fatigue. People really just want great movies. Unfortunately, when it comes to Disney, I don't know if we're ever going to see that again, at least not anytime soon. Bob Iger pushes back on Marvel fatigue, but says Disney quietly has canceled movies. The Disney CEO was interviewed at Morgan Stanley Conference in San Francisco on Tuesday, where he called the Nelson Peltz-led proxy fight a distraction for the company. Oh, I'm sure it has been. Whenever people are out there, big shareholders are out there calling you out for your failures, I'm sure that can be very, very distracting for you. But let's get to what he's actually saying about audiences, about Marvel, about all these things. And again, this is Bob Iger, who will say, we really want to quiet down the political war, and then a month later we'll do something fucking insane. This dude is literally just a snake oil salesman who will say anything he thinks is the right thing in the moment. Disney CEO Bob Iger is pursuing a major overhaul of the company's film output. In the midst of something of a strike-induced box office drought, and after a challenging year for Disney, the executive said Tuesday, "We're doing a lot to turn around Disney's feature film business. It hit on hard times that needed addressing." Last year you had one Disney movie that was released that broke even, and that only barely broke even when you're looking at all the money you spent making and promoting Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what we're talking about. One movie out of 12, 14 movies that didn't lose money for you. Yeah, that's something of a rough patch for Disney. You have to kill things you no longer believe in, and that's not easy in this business, because either you got started, you have sunk costs in a relationship, either your employees or with the creative community. It's not an easy thing. But you got to make those tough calls. We've actually made those tough calls. We've not been that public, but we've killed a few projects already that we just didn't feel were strong enough. We'd love to hear what those are, because you think that something like Echo is good enough. The Acolyte, you think that's good enough, but somehow you've just killed a bunch of dog shit. Man, it'd be interesting to hear about all the things you didn't think were good enough to show people. He then pushed back on the idea of superhero or franchise fatigue, saying that it's not an accident Marvel's first 33 films generated $30 billion at the box office. I think, or a lot of people think it's audience fatigue. It's not audience fatigue. They want great films, and if you build it great, they will come, and there are countless examples of that. Some are ours, and some are others. Oppenheimer's a perfect example, a fantastic film. Focus is really important. We reduce the output of Marvel, both at number of films they make and number of TV shows, and that becomes critical. But I feel good about the team. I feel good about the IP. I talk about the projects. We look years ahead, and it's iterative. Not only do you look at the films you're making, you look at every part of the process, who the directors are, who's being cast. I personally watch films 3 to 5 times with the team and just create a culture of excellence and respect, which is really important with the creator community. And again, the track record speaks for itself. What are you talking about? So on one hand, let's take this entire thing, the entire Marvel thing, the audience fatigue. You yourself have blamed the quantity of shit you were putting out. There's just too much stuff for people to come up with. There was just, the audience, their new Marvel thing coming out every week. They couldn't keep up with that. Now you're changing it to say it's really because we've been putting out shit. That's what you have to be admitting. Then the next paragraph, Bob Iger goes and talks about how he supervises everything, how he helps these creatives, how he makes sure, our track record speaks for ourselves. You've been generating bomb after bomb after bomb, failure after failure. And you want to say that your track record speaks for itself? That is absolutely wild. But again, not the first time that Bob Iger's been a little bit back and forth on things like this. They have been talking about slowing down the production at Marvel for a long time. And apparently that's what they've done. Based on all the things we know are in the works, I don't really know if that's the case, if they have slowed down anything. That's just what Bob Iger continues to say. But as we lead up to this big proxy war with Nelson Peltz, Bob Iger continuing to speak out of both sides of his mouth, but acknowledging that, you know what? maybe people aren't coming to see our movies because we've been putting out literal dog shit that has nothing to do with fatigue necessarily, more so the quality of the films we're putting out. And over the past couple years, Disney has put out utter garbage. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.